Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Nitro Racing League here on the channel for now the second time this week of 3 different races from the Nitro Racing League you'll be seeing this week here on the channel. So here we have race 2 of the kind of back-to-back from Friday and Saturday night races we had to do due to the server outage in the past weekend now. So here we are at Auto Club, and I qualified P3 for this race, by the way. There was 26 people for this race. I think this could very well be the biggest field I've ever seen for a Nitro Series race ever since I have come into the league personally. And we had a mix of not only just Cup regulars, but there was also Xfinity and like truck guys or whatever that were actually allowed to make a start here today. So it was a stacked field, and at Auto Club, the way the racing is with the draft and whatnot, you can probably imagine right off the bat exactly what this race would turn into. But just for a heads up, stage 1 ends when we hit lap 26. Stage 2 ends when we hit lap 51, and the race ends when we hit lap 101. So a 100 lap race overall, and of course, as usual, 200 laps just so we can have extra time to do potential overtimes. And as you see now at the end of this first lap, still running P3 right behind that 88 of one of the rookies of Liberty, as I'm trying to settle in here on these first opening laps as we go down towards turns 1. We had a really good setup for this race, courtesy of Connor Cunningham, who just set us up so well for this one in the JGR program he is now on the Nitro Racing League. So he has been a huge asset already just now in 3 races complete in the Nitro Racing League here now as we go down this back straightaway. Unfortunately, we had a crash already. That was 2 or more cars, and that means that once we get to the line right here, we have to race it back for the caution to come out. So as we come through out of turns 4, I could have made it 3 wide right here, but I decided to just push the 88 towards the line, and as we come through to cross the line, it's going to be P3 when the caution comes out. And this would really ignite pretty much a caution fest for 100 laps, I would feel like. So you're going to see a lot of skipping here in this episode and just jumping right into the restarts now, as we would have pretty much pit on every single caution at this point in the race. So do keep that in mind. And then the choose cone rule, of course, comes to an effect. So you're going to see me kind of getting positions just kind of shuffled around quite a bit now, as they're going way crazy back there, like 4 or 5 potentially wide now as I'm into the wall. And as the 12 car, he kind of just came up just a little bit there as I made a bit of an aggressive move to that outside. Unfortunately, didn't quite work out now as we go down towards turns 3. So there's the 12 side by side with the 48 of Tyler now as I'm right to the back of him there. But once again, as you can see in the background, there was a bit of an incident here as we were 3 wide again down the front straightaway. You can just see how crazy the racing was here. No matter what lap it was, everybody was giving it everything they had now as a caution had come out again because of that incident. So now all of a sudden we were down to P10, so we just got going for the next restart, and here we are now down the back straightaway in P9 on the outside on this 11th lap of the races. We go down into turn 3. One of the drivers up front was a rookie and Xfinity regular and Xfinity Series points leader, Dylan, in that 51 Rowdy Energy car. So a cool story there. Myself and Dylan actually go way back. We knew each other back in the NASCAR Inside Line days, so we played a lot there, had a league together, and then we kind of got separated for a few years, and now he is kind of caught, we've both got back in connection, and now he is actually racing in the Nitro Racing League. And he currently leads, like I said, the Xfinity Series standing, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do. But now, a little bit later on lap 13, out of turns 4, 3 wide right here with the 48 and the 14, as Andrew Wisdom, last episode's winner at Phoenix, leads away, but we were coming through to cross the line to bring out a caution again. So another crash there as we all slow up, and once again we would pit, we would go to the choose cone, and get back underway for another restart. So I was right behind Andrew for this restart, and Matt Chaffee in the 10 car, he was having a habit of doing a lot of 2-tire pit calls, and this was, I think, the first one he did there, and you could see it did not work whatsoever. He got to the middle, he was gone down towards the middle of the field already here as we go down towards turn 3. Some help from Matt there in the 19 as we go through turn 3, trying to get clear of that 95 of Connor. Sure enough we do, so we settle in briefly into the 2nd position, but then when we came through to cross the line to hit lap 19, a caution came out again, and then we just jumped right into the next restart right here behind Andrew Wisdom in the 9 car, who chose the top. It's been a very common thing the last couple episodes for myself to choose the top when it comes to the choose cone rule, but now you can see we only had 5 laps to go here in stage 1, so time running out here. As I get aggressive, we make it 3 wide for the lead down the back straightaway, but I have absolutely no help whatsoever in terms of the draft, so I'm not going to be able to make anything happen. It's 3 cars on the outside, 1 car on the bottom, the 88 now to the bottom as well, as I'm just trying to get into one of those either inside or outside lanes, but no opportunity to do so. There, a bit of a lag right there from the 19 of of Matt, and that kind of pushed me backwards, and now all of a sudden we're outside of stage points as we come through down this front straightaway with a few laps to go in stage 1, all the way down to P7, even P8 as we go into turns 1. 3 wide up there in front of us. The 19 of Matt, though, has a bit of a moment with the 18 of Bryce. He goes crashing, and the Daytona 500 winner now is also going to be taken out of any chance of getting stage points. That was a single car incident right there, I believe. So now here I am pushing Bryce, and we were now up to P5, but then we actually lost the spot to the 4 of Christian, and then Dylan actually comes through on the inside to make a pass as well as we exit turns 4. So now we were back down to P7 after being up into P5 for a brief moment of time. So as we come through to 2 laps to go, now we're approaching the final lap here. I make it 3 wide with the 4 in the 51 as we start the white flag in stage 1 there. As you see up ahead, the 9 of Andrew Wisdom leading the way, some contact between the 88 as well as the 18 of Bryce, the 48 of Tyler up there in the mix right now. JGR versus HMS underway right here in stage 1 now, as I'm going to go for the middle line here potentially as Dylan comes up to defend over that. There a little bit of contact between himself and I. The 4 of Christian still up the inside. Bryce goes very defensive there on the bottom as we go into turns 3 and 4 for the final time here in stage 1. So now as we come through out of turns 4, it's going to be a battle for P6 as I feel like I just gave up a great opportunity at getting some stage points right here as we come through down the front straightaway. I take one last attempt at it, make it 3 wide with the 51 and the 88, but not quite enough there. We have to settle for P6 in this first and opening stage. So we came into the pit lane, 2 cans of fuel, 4 fresh tires, continued to get the adjustments into this car that we needed, and then we would of course come around to do the choose cone, and we were all the way down in P8 by the time we got back going for the start of stage 2. So definitely not where we want to be here for the start of the stage, but as you guys saw in stage 1, it's going to be a wreck fest pretty much, and it's all going to be just about being in the right place at the right time. Matt Chaffee once again was leading as I get clipped in the left rear. Chaffee took 2 tires again. We're going to see if it pays off here as we come through out of turns 2 down this back straightaway behind us. They're going crazy once again, 3, 4, potentially even 5 wide in the middle of that large pack of like 20 cars right there, as sure enough Chaffee and the 2 tires not working once again here as I look to the inside of the 24 there of Venom now, as we're going to just cruise to the inside of the 10 of Chaffee. And now as up front, it is the number 18 of Bryce and Andrew Wisdom there in the 9 car going at it for that front position as we come through to cross the line there to get up into P3 in front of Chaffee. So now on lap 30, I was making that outside work a little bit, but it really wasn't working great because now the 4 of Christian, he was actually able to get by me. So now running in that 4th position, but you can see on that track map, some cars got separated. There was some single car incidents that didn't bring out any cautions, but there you see a moment between myself and Andrew there as he got into the wall. Now as we came through out of turns 4, we were back in front of the 4 of Christian now as we were coming through down the front straightaway. I'm pushing the 18 of Bryce in P3 there as we cross the line. So now about 15 laps to go in stage 1 as we sail it off into turns 1 with some help from that 4 car of Christian, but it was definitely, even up here more separated, it was still a wild race happening. It was wild all the way around. It didn't matter what part of the track you were on unless you were completely separated from the field. It was a wild race the whole time. Now as Andrew Wisdom got shuffled out from the lead, I look to the inside of him. Now I make a 3 wide with both Andrew as well as the 94 of Eddie here as we go down this front straightaway. We clear Andrew, now pass Eddie there just a little bit for the 2nd position. So now trying to get to the back of the 18 of Bryce, make a move to his outside now as we went down this front straightaway right at his doors. We came through to cross the line in P2, but the reason I was going for that move was because the caution had once again come out. So we pit once again, go to the choose cone. Here we are in P2, going down into turns 1 on the restart. Now the 19 of Matt was back up in the mix. You saw him in stage 1 have that incident with Bryce, and that took Matt out of any opportunity to get some stage points. Now as Eddie tried to force a 3 wide there, a bit of a moment between himself and I. Now as he's actually forced 3 wide behind us between the Hendrick duo of the 88 of Libert and the 9 of Andrew Wisdom. Now he's to the middle with the 19 on his inside here as we sail it off into the corner. So we get clear of Matt as we came through out of turns 4, but now a little bit later here on lap 45, Eddie had once again worked his way back to the front, got to my inside, and he was bringing the rookie of Mahu and the 14 as well with him as we went down this front straightaway now as we were approaching the final handful of laps in this first stage. So I was losing some ground here now as we were running right behind Eddie there, the 14 still behind myself, but here we are on the top. Eddie had a horrendous corner, and now that allowed the 88, the 19, the 24 all to just train by on the inside as we go down into turns 3. Even the 48 was up in the mix. You saw the 48 have a terrible performance at Phoenix Raceway, but backing it up with a nice performance so far here today. Now, as this 3 wide in front of us, now approaching the final couple laps. The 88 actually came down into the 94 right there, pushed him up the track, and that allowed me to get through and move up into P4 all of a sudden. But now, as we came through to start the final lap, the 24 and the 94, they come together. The 24 gets ping-ponged, hits me in the quarter panel. He goes crashing. At this point, though, no cautions because we're on the final lap of stage 2. So as we come through turns 1, 3 wide for the lead between all of the Joe Gibbs cars. And now I look to the inside of the 18 of Bryce as we go down this back straightaway here for the final time in stage 2, side by side between the 19 of Matt and the 94 of Eddie. I didn't want to force the 3 wide into turn 3 right here because I knew it would destroy our momentum, so I was trying to get a good exit right there, but Bryce actually pushed me into the corner a little bit, so it destroyed my opportunity as well, and his own. So as we come through out of turns 4, we really just have to settle here in behind for P3, as I honestly don't know who won the stage. I think it was Matt that barely got Eddie there as we cross the line, but once again, two cans of fuel, 4 fresh tires for the pit stop, and we would get back underway for the start of the 3rd and final stage, where Matt Chaffee took 2 tires again. So did Dylan in the 51, but for the 3rd time, at least in this episode, the 2 tires did not work whatsoever for Matt Chaffee. And I actually, after, I think it was this one here, during the next caution, I actually got on Discord and I tried to voice call Matt Chaffee, and I was like, dude, you gotta stop taking 2 tires, it's not working. You gotta do 4 tires, that's where you're gonna get somewhere. But I could never actually get in touch with him. I just had to do it through text instead here as we came through turns 3, getting past him and now to the outside of the 48. There you see the 51 of Dylan push way up as we come through out of the corner. So now we're going to get to the outside of him, and for the brief amount of time here, we would be able to get in front of him as well as we came through to cross the line. And we did not have a caution on the first and opening lap here of stage 3. So that was a step in the right direction, it felt like here, so far as we went down into turns 1, now up in the top 3. But look at the scenes behind us. It was 3 by 3 by 3 on this 54th lap of the race, but then the caution would actually come out again here on lap 56. So we would once again pit, get ready for a restart with now just over 40 laps to go here in the races. I was pushing the back of the 94 of Eddie down towards turns 1, hoping that we're going to get somewhere. And I mean, just the way this race was, I didn't know what to expect still, because we could just get wiped out on lap 90 or something and be forced to the back of the field with 10 laps to go and not be able to do anything about it. There, as I look to the outside of the 19, that kind of caught me off guard. Now Eddie makes an aggressive move to the inside of the 2 car of Smoke GT as we go into turn 3, and then actually now in turns 1 on the next lap of 60, the 12 and the 2, they come together now. So I split the middle between the both of them here as we come through out of turns 2. So now all of a sudden we move up into the runner-up 2nd place behind Eddie. So now I'm trying to run him down, but then, as you could imagine, another crash happened, the caution came out. So we pitted again, got back underway on the inside. Matt Chaffee took 2 tires again. It did not work again now as the 42 actually gets together with the 96. And now I'm just going to cruise by here on the inside. And for the first time, actually, today, I think, we were leading the race here down the back straightaway. So it was nice to be out front for a brief amount of time, at least, here as we go down into turn 3, trying to protect over that 94 of Eddie. I sail it way off into the corner, a little bit too deep to say the least, but as we came through to turns 4, we would hold on. But now we had another crash, and Eddie, he in turn 3 now on lap 65, really sent it into the inside, but I had a way better exit right there as we come through out of turns 4. So coming to the line for the caution now, the 19 looks to the outside, but not enough. We lead at the moment of the caution there, but then we would come to the pit lane and actually had some people stay out this time. So now we were down into P12 for the next restart here on lap 68. So this is like the furthest we had been down the field the whole race. So I didn't know what to expect here now, as we're right in the middle of the field, and then there was some lag from the 21, and that was some awful timing there. Now as we get shuffled out a little bit down to P15, 4 wide down the back straightaway here as we go into turns 3. So I did not want any part of that there as we go into the corner. Eddie unfortunately pinched there in the middle. I was able to get back out in front of him, but now on lap 69, nice, we have a bit of an incident right there. The 21 went around, the 42 goes around. We're involved in it a little bit, but we're not actually a part of the crash yet, as the 24 goes crashing, the 4 goes crashing, the 24 goes up and over in my rear view mirror, and the caution of course comes out. We would race it back, but we would end up about P15 or so when we came into the pit lane once again now. So now we came through to the next restart, and after the pit stops I was quite a ways down the order, P17, as we came through to complete the first lap since the restart got back underway. So at this moment it was the 2 car out in front leading the way here, but you can just see this mess in front of us. Where do you go? It's 4 or 5 wide sometimes here in this pack as we now come down the back straightaway. You look on the apron, well, you can see there's multiple cars crashing right there. So of course that would mean we were about to once again have a caution here in Auto Club. So as we go down into turn 3, everybody going for every single position they can get to get themselves in a better spot going into the pit lane and for the restart. And as we come through out of turns 4, side by side with RJ there in the 47, and we come through to cross the line. He barely gets us at the line, so it would be P13. But of course, we would come to the pit lane once again here in Auto Club. This is where I make a mistake. I decide to stay out and cut through the grass, and I would actually get a penalty for this and get sent to the very back of the field. So as we got underway for the restart, myself and Matt pull a bit of a Kyle Busch from like 2012 at Daytona so we can run down the field into turns 1. But now the 12 out in front, but we're all the way down in P23 with about 25 laps to go at this point in the race. But as you can see, once again, more trouble there on the inside. I think that was the 19 and the 24 that had an issue as we go down into the corner. That was not a caution, though. That was just a single car incident here. So we're still scrapping it out under green flag conditions right now as Eddie in the 94 back out in front, commanding the field here, as you can just see how chaotic it is. Now as we went into turns 1, some more trouble there up in front of us. The 21 goes crashing. We barely get by it now as we split the middle, and once again, you have to race it back. The caution was about to come out here as we're going to be 3, maybe even 4 wide for a brief moment there. Out of turns 2, down this back straightaway as we have MJ up the inside, and on the outside we have Cameron in the 6-car, former HMS driver, moved over to Roush Fenway this season with the Ford program now as we come through turns 3 and 4 for the final time under the green flag conditions before that caution comes out. The 95 actually gets doored by the 14 into the wall. I look to the outside here coming to the caution, and we're going to be P11. The 95 and then 14 actually went at it under caution a little bit right in front of me, and that was certainly an interesting one to watch. Now as we came through, though, back to another restart here once again underway, and now all of a sudden I'm up inside the top 10 here on lap 84, so a little bit over 15 laps to go, and we're slowly creeping back into being in a good position to potentially go for a victory here in Auto Club now, as our chance is still pretty low, as I mean you can just see how wild these races have been, as now the 18 of Bryce was out in front along with Eddie. Matt was up to P3, and now we're just casually 4 wide down the front straightaway with Andrew, the 12, and I believe that's the 96 up the inside of Puck Drop Chaos there, as another Canadian actually in the field as we go down into turns 1. Dylan as well in the 51, he's Canadian as well. Actually, we live probably about an hour and a half apart, so hopefully one day we could actually meet up now, as we've been, like I said earlier, friends for a very long time here as we come through now down the front straightaway, though on lap 88 the caution came out again. So we got underway for yet another restart. I completely forgot to mention we were doing single file restarts at this point in the race because we were trying to calm down the restarts a little bit now as we came through at a turn 2. So running P7 with about 10 laps to go once we crossed the line. Matt getting aggressive there, looking up the inside of the 48. I stay right here to the outside, and as we came through down the front straightaway with 10 to go into turns 1, the 48 comes together with the 12 right there. Now the 41, he pushes way up the track, and unfortunately right here we come together just a tiny bit, and that puts the 41 back into the wall now as we came through out of the corner. Now as we head down this back straightaway and out of turns 4, I actually cross over, get to the inside instead of running the bottom, because now we're trying to get really aggressive and get back up in the mix. The 3 car was ghosted unfortunately on my screen, but thankfully it did not turn into any incidents or whatnot when we made a little bit of contact right there. So now up into P4 now as I was trying to work my way past the 9 of Andrew Wisdom. I felt like I was faster than him at this point in the race, so I wanted to be out in front of him to try and lead this train to run down the top 2 of both Bryce and Eddie. Unfortunately, it didn't work after multiple attempts, but out of turns 2, the 19 of Matt gets in front of me, the 48 and the 6 car all go by as I had a horrendous exit on the exit of the corner, and all of us fighting right here unfortunately was destroying our chance of running down those top 2 drivers that were very vulnerable to getting run down because they were just by themselves, and if we would have all just rode in a line here, we would have easily run them down, but I was being too aggressive, the 19 was being too aggressive, and no one wanted to let each other go either, so it was very frustrating now as we came through out of turns 4. So it was no fault other than our own in this scenario right here now, as there was only a few laps to go in this race. Now we come through to 2 laps to go. They were going at it in front of us, so now myself and Matt in the 6 rolling a train, and we are hauling the mail, now only a second back. But then unfortunately into turn 3, Cameron decides, you know what, we're not gonna ride in the train, we're just gonna go up the inside, and then that once again just kind of hurt the momentum right there. And just after a really frustrating race with all the cautions and whatnot and the crashes. I got a little bit too frustrated right here as we came through out of turns 4, so now as we come through to start the final lap, I was going down towards turns 1, and I said I'm just going to punt the 6 car as soon as I get to them, and that was just the main objective here on the turns 1, as they're still side by side for the lead. So sure enough, into turns 1, I just drive right into the back of him, move him out of the way. I felt bad for it after. I apologize, Cameron, I shouldn't have done that, but we come through out of turns 2. Now the 18 and the 94, they're all the way off the track. We were like, you know what, these guys are probably going to crash. At least one of them is probably not going to get to the finish line here as we go down into turn 3 on this final lap in the race. Still side by side. Andrew Wisdom sent it up the inside of the 6 right there as we come through out of turns 4. Still side by side between Eddie and Bryce as I go defensive on the 9 car, and they come together up front, and now the 18 goes crashing there as it comes through to cross the line, and we come through to finish in 4th place now, as Bryce pretty much just wrecked himself from the looks of it, trying to run into Eddie. They both were hitting each other on purpose, trying to win, and fortunately for Eddie, he was the one that came out on top. But now, here's the standings before we end this episode here. So we are currently P3, 23 points below Andrew, who leads the way, and we are tied with Matt for second in the standings. You see the guys in yellow, those are the ones that have won and now are locked in to the 12-driver playoff grid. I think that's actually more than we've had before. I think it was like a 10-person limit. But before we end it, just want to say thank you to the Going Racing members here on the channel of MJ, Joseph 9001, Timothy Arline, Bubba Jr., Brett Durward, Dark Gengar Gaming, AJ Vasseur, Russell Dixon, as well as Kenneth Barnett. Thank you guys so much for the support, and thank you to everybody for taking the time out of the day to watch this episode. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day, everybody.